When an ancient evil threatens the world, the four adolescent turtles must reunite and overcome their faults to stand against it. Narration tells the tale of a great evil long ago. 3,000 years ago, a warrior king led a brotherhood to conquer all the world's kingdoms. In his quest, he learned of a constellation known as the Stars of Kikan. Every 3,000 years, when the stars align, a portal opens to a world of unknown power. The warrior absorbed this power and became immortal. Because of this, his brotherhood was turned to stone. Upon the portal opening, 13 monsters were unleashed onto the world. The warrior king was left to walk the earth and think about his mistake. In present-day Central America, a village feels the weight of oppression as the occupying military bullies them. But giving them hope is a hero in the trees known as the Ghost of the Jungle. Longtime friend of the turtles, April visits the village in the hope to find the ghost. She slashes her way through the thick brush and stumbles upon a hideout, where is met by the ghost. He reveals himself to be Leonardo, the leader of the turtles. They catch up and April tells Leo about the business that brought her here. She works for a tycoon who is interested in 3,000-year-old artifacts. April mentions that the city has not been the same without him, and tells him what the other turtles have been up to. Donatello has taken up a tech support job to keep busy, and Michelangelo puts on a costume and entertains kids' birthday parties. Leo asks about Raphael, but April says he sleeps all day. What no one knows is that Raphael is still crime fighting, but disguised as a vigilante known as the Night Watcher. April asks Leo to come back to the city. He says Splinter sent him down here to become a better leader, and the people in the village need his help. In the city, Michelangelo arrives at the sewer base and reminisces about the feeling of crime fighting and how good it made him feel. But Donatello tells him that the glory days are over. Raphael wakes up and joins his brothers in the common area. They mention the Night Watcher, and that creates an argument between Donatello and Raphael. Donatello accuses Raphael of using fear as a tactic and how wrong that is. Master Splinter walks in and stops the argument before it got out of hand. Later on, April arrives back at the city on a cargo ship. She unloads a crate and calls her boyfriend Casey Jones and says he's late. He asks about Leo, but with a sigh of disappointment, April says he's not with her. Casey gets the moving truck and heads to April. They arrive at Winters Corp with the crate. Winters Corp is a megacorporation that involves itself in many markets. The founder of the company, Mr. Winters, is a collector of 3,000-year-old artifacts and seems very pleased with April's arrival. They open the crate and inside is General Aguila, stiff as a rock. Winters is nostalgic, saying these statues are like family to him. April and Casey leave as a mysterious figure can be seen in the shadows of Winter's office. The woman walks out of the shadow and is followed by members of the Foot Clan, the clan that rivaled the Turtles and was once led by the Shredder. The woman, Karai, is the new leader of the clan and hired by Winters as his spy. In the night, a criminal robs a store but is caught and led to a rooftop by the Night Watcher. While questioning the criminal, Casey Jones in his classic crime-fighting mask confronts the Night Watcher. They begin to talk and Casey immediately knows it's Raphael. He explains that they haven't heard a word from Leo ever since he was sent away, and shows slight resentment. Casey says he's being too hard on him and he deserves another chance. Back at Winters Corp, Winters uses an artifact to wake his brothers and sister from their stone prisons. Leo catches a ride on a commercial airplane and dives back into the city. He heads into the sewer base where everyone is sleeping. He is called over by Splinter, who presents him with a medallion and says his training is over, but his absence has been difficult for Raphael. Master Splinter tells him until they can act as one they are forbidden to fight. Leo brings the team to a rooftop to go over a training plan. A roar interrupts them and they jump over to see what made the noise. They climb a building under construction and see the Foot Clan getting pummeled by a giant gorilla-like monster. They jump into the action willing to help, but Karai tells her team to leave and they all scatter. They fight this creature throughout the building, eventually ending up on ground level. The Warrior Brotherhood, now awake from their slumber, struts in and abducts the monster while the turtles weren't looking. At Winters Corp, Karai demands an explanation. Winters tell her that the Foot Clan has been reduced to hired guns. The Warrior Brotherhood steps out from the shadows and presents the chained-up monster. He tells Karai that the Foot Clan is the eyes and ears and his Warrior Brotherhood is the muscle. They will help her track down and capture the remaining 12 monsters. In the sewer base, Raphael and Leo argue over following orders. Seeing what happened on the news, Splinter demands to talk to the group. He says they cannot fight crime if they continue to fight each other. All around the city, the Foot Clan and the Warrior Brotherhood capture 9 horrifying monsters. Raphael sneaks up the fire escape and gets in the Casey and April's apartment. He tells Casey to meet him on the roof, and when they get there, a winged creature flies over their head. They chase the creature and witness its capture by the Foot Clan and Warrior Brotherhood. They tie the creature up and shoot it with sleeping darts. While watching this, Casey seems to recognize the Warrior Brotherhood but gives away their position. The Foot Clan notice and sleeping darts start hurling their way. Raphael steps in front of Casey and blocks the darts, getting himself hit instead. They try hiding on the roof, but it's no use and they are easily found. The situation seems bleak, but a police helicopter arrives at the scene and scares the warrior brotherhood away. Casey brings Raphael to his and April's apartment and calls the rest of the team over. They arrive and notice a piece of obsidian with South American engravings on it stuck into Raphael's shell. Casey also mentions that the statues that April and he delivered to Winters were the ones shooting the sleeping darts. April tells them the story of Warrior King and his stone generals. Raphael is eager to bring Winters to justice and asks where to start, but Leo says they need to wait for Splinter's blessing first. Filled with anger, Raphael quits the group. At Winters Corp, a stone general tells Winters there are only 2 creatures left. Winters tell him to finish it, but the general says if the curse is broken then they will no longer be immortal. Winters barks back, telling the general not to question his command. This angers the general. In the sewer base, Donatello and April conclude that the portal will open within 24 hours over Winters Corp Tower. When it does, monsters will be unleashed and the world will be over within weeks. Leo leaves to find Raphael. The stone general, Aguila, informs the other generals of Winters' plan to betray them and tells them not to capture the final monster. Later on, a small monster is sighted in the fridge of a diner. Hearing this on police scanners, the Night Watcher arrives to assess the scene. He walks in and finds the small, red, and devilish monster creating havoc. The two wrestle for a moment, destroying the kitchen around them. The monster manages to escape, crashing through a window. Night Watcher walks out of the kitchen and back into the dining room. The cook working that night seems terrified as this hulking figure shadows him. Night Watcher picks up the cash register to give back to the man, and all of a sudden a kunai with a red ribbon attached to it flies into the cash register. Night Watcher looks outside where it came from, seeing Leo's silhouette on the top of a building. Night Watcher runs out of the building, but is easily followed. The chase leads them to the roof of a building where the two fight. Leo dodges blow after blow and hits Night Watcher with a devastating uppercut, causing him to fly through the air and his mask to be knocked off. Leo walks over to his fallen enemy and realizes it's Raphael. He seems shocked but is kicked back. The two argue again, but this time it's more personal. The insults cut deep and a fight breaks out again. Only this time, the two brothers are armed. The swords clink and clank, eventually getting interlocked. Raphael manages to break Leo's sword and pin him on the ground. Realizing what just happened, Raphael runs away in shame. Leo watches him run away but is shot with a sleeping dart. He falls to the ground and the Foot Clan, along with the Warrior Brotherhood, emerges from the shadows. The Stone General says this turtle is not the 13th monster, but Warrior King won't know the difference. Raphael hears Leo scream and decides to go back for him, but he's too late. He arrives as the enemies escape with Leo. Raphael rushes back to the sewer base and confesses to Splinter. He says he understands why Splinter made Leo the leader and says he is a bad son. Splinter reassures him that not being the best student doesn't mean you are a bad son. Raphael shows Splinter Leo's broken swords and says they took him. Splinter composes himself, catching his emotions before they boil over. He takes a deep breath and says it's time to return to the surface and take back what is theirs. Later that night, the group, along with Splinter, sneak into Winters Corp Tower. High above the earth, the stars of Keegan align, creating a giant beam of light that tears through space. The beam comes through the atmosphere and strikes Winters Corp Tower. Noticing the monsters are still in their world, Winters calls the generals traitors. Winters wants to send the creatures back to where they came from to undo the damage that was done long ago. The generals are done taking his orders. Outside, the Foot Clan engages in a battle with the turtles. Casey and April work together to make it to the front door. They enter and Casey breaks a vase on purpose, causing the security doors to shut and secure them inside. They find the open portal and all the monsters in cages. They find which one Leo is in and break him out. He and Raphael share a brief moment and smile at each other. Winters gets thrown from across the room and lands at the group's feet. He gets up and April says his time of immortality is over and it's time to send the monsters back where they came from. Immortality is a torment he can no longer bear and decided to help the group. The Stone Generals menacingly walk into the room. Aguila demands that the Foot Clan swear their allegiances to him. Karai says the Foot Clan has honor and works for Winters. She signals at her ninjas to go find the final monster and bring it here. The Stone Generals and the Turtles begin to battle with the help of Splinter. April, Casey, Karai, and the Foot Clan search for the final monster. The Stone Generals almost have the upper hand on the Turtles when a distant car horn can be heard. Michelangelo's party wagon comes crashing through the door, followed by the final monster. They screech into the room and drift past the portal at the last second, causing the monster to slide right in. The beam of light gets brighter and the Stone Generals get sucked into it. The sky returns to normal as the portal dissipates. The group catches their breaths and celebrates victory. Karai disappears in a smoke bomb and Winters laughs in excitement as he realizes his curse is broken. He thanks April and the rest of the group. He looks out into the world as he is raised above the ground. A blue shimmering light can be seen coming from within him. The light consumes him, breaking his curse. In the sewer base, Splinter put Winter's helmet on a shelf to remember this story. Raphael joins him and places the Night Watcher helmet next to Winter's. Michelangelo asks if he can add his helmet too. They look over and see him holding his party costume helmet. The next night, the turtles watch the streets and are ready to fight crime as a family.